Today's opening of the next bite is going to be a little bit different than what it's been in the past. There was something that occurred here just recently that doesn't happen all that often. We had all 5 of the hosts qualify for the World Championship in walleye tournament fishing this year. They only take 40 guys nationwide. This group of anglers that we have as hosts, Jason Shakurit, Corey Sprengel, Tommy Kimos, Chase Parsons, and myself, we teach very high-end, detailed ways to catch fish. And I think the tournament world brings that to your living room. Because we do what we do, we're very attention orientated towards details and giving you the cutting edge information, and that's what you get with the next bite. So I just wanted to give allocates to our hosts. They're all unbelievable fishermen. This is Andy Gustafson, Captain Andy Gustafson from Ashland, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I guide up in the Chequamegon Bay area and Lake Superior for multi-species trout, salmon, walleye, and our trophy smallmouth bass up there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what people really come up there for, is a trophy smallmouth bass. But I grew up fishing these inland lakes. But the fall patterns, when these fish set up, we can really get some nice fish, which is overlooked by most people. You know, and the way we're gonna show you where they're setting up today is gonna be a little different for the average fisherman. Not to you tournament anglers, but to the average fisherman, where we're gonna find them is gonna be a little different. So it's gonna be an interesting show. So we're gonna bring you the next bite.
Just looking for the next bite, next bite, just looking for the next bite.
Northern Wisconsin is tough to beat during the fall. The most popular way to fish is with live bait, and for good reason. Oftentimes, it's the only way to get a bite. Most live bait presentations are near the bottom, but as we have found with forward-facing sonar, that's not always where the fish are.
I got one. Got one? Yep. Decent one now, Andy.
Oh yeah, the screen's lit up.
Is it?
There's like 5 more on there.
No kidding.
Yep, yep.
That net expands,
Okay.
by the way.
That's a nice eye.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about, buddy. Look how fat they are.
Yeah, they're healthy fish here.
It's going to be easy getting him out of the net because he's out. Look how fat they are.
That's a nice one.
I don't know. You know, that fish might only be 21 or so.
Here we are up in northern Wisconsin. We're going to target some suspended fall walleyes. We're looking for prime walleye structure, and in the fall that means we're going to look for steep breaks, whether it's related to a center hump or a shoreline point, but it seems like the steeper the better. That's where we're finding the bait fish, and that's where the walleyes are going to be. But what's important about that is we're not finding the walleyes sitting on the structure. We actually are finding them off the structure, anywhere from 35 to 45 feet of water, and they're suspended 22 to 25 feet down. And that seems to be the biggest fish in the system. And that's kind of something that's new to lots of people. It's not new to everybody, but it's new to lots of people. And with this forward-facing sonar, it's kind of a game changer. Normally we'd be trolling those fish, but now with this, it's a lot more fun to sit on the bow of the boat and kind of hunt the fish and pitch at individual fish. We're actually picking out sizes. We're only going to pick out what we think is a fish over 20 inches.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine, Go Boldly, Schaefer's Specialized Lubricant, Putting Equipment First, Nitro Boats, Performance Fishing Boats, Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley, your fish, our science. And Power Pole, Total Boat Control. Closed captioning for the next bite is provided by Whitewater, built to brave the waves. One of the biggest advantages of forward-facing sonar is the ability to find fish anywhere in the water column and see what mood the fish is in. Being able to target these suspended fish with multiple different techniques has changed the way we fish.
So the way that I like to set up my units is you see all the bass boats and you see all the pro walleye boats. They've got 2 units on the front. I'm not saying you have to do it with 2 units, but it makes it so that you have a bigger screen to look at. But I like to take my 1 unit and I'll split the screen. On the left side, I put a map situation, a GPS mapping, because as you're fishing structure, you want to know exactly where you are. If you catch a fish, you can drop that waypoint and you can stay in that general area. On the right side, I use 2D sonar, but I hook it up a little bit different. I hook my 2D sonar to the same active target sonar that's on my trolling motor. So the active target sonar can shoot 2D, and it'll give you the same traditional picture that you're used to seeing, and it'll do it without interference. So those are the 3 pictures that I like to use while I'm fishing, and you know, I'm still a traditionalist. I like looking at that 2D sonar. You don't. There's a lot of guys I know that just look at active target, but it's off the same transducer, so you're not going to get any interference.
I got him. I got him.
You got him?
I got him.
That's awesome, wasn't it?
He picked it up once and then he dropped it.
Yeah. Well, then you actually even came over by me.
Good fish. It's a big walleye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Bring it back here.
Oh, I love that thump on that line.
Nice, Andy.
Oh yes, nice.
Yeah.
Love that thump on that line.
This guy is nice fish.
Oh,
He's not as fat as some of the others, but it's probably male, you know.
He's a nice fish.
Yeah.
I just love that thump on that line on a light jig rod like this.
This was so cool because we saw those fish up high right under the boat.
Right under the boat.
We both reeled in, both dropped to them, one on each side.
Yep.
One of them came over by me.
Yep.
And then went back over by you, and then first he bit,
and
then he let go.
Yeah, and I just held it there. I never even moved it.
Yeah.
I kind of dead sticked it because they're kind of finicky today, so I just held it there, and he picked it up again.
You would never know that if it wasn't for this forward-facing sonar and being able to move that sonar screen around.
So
and look for those
we're
fish.
actually in 45 feet of water, and he was what?
Maybe 20 down.
20 down.
Something like
20
that.
down.
Yeah. But
Total Control, presented by Power Pole. 20 years of trust evolved from Total Boat Control.
So there's no question over the past few years that walleye fishing has changed with live sonar technology. Now I have an active target 2 transducer on the shaft of my trolling motor, but what I've seen that's a huge advantage with the new active target 2 is how clear and how much range it has. And range is super important in instances where you might be fishing a mud basin. We're sitting in about 20.5 feet of water, and I have my range set at 80 feet. I will even go out to 100 feet oftentimes just to be able to cruise around and see where the fish are as quickly as possible. Now when you see those fish at 80 to 100 feet, don't cast to them right away. Try to work your way in as close to those fish as possible to make the one right cast. Make sure that you can actually get close enough to that fish, which at times if I can get inside of 20 feet of that fish before I pitch, I will. but you want to be able to see that bait dropping on the screen, and you want to be able to see that fish right below it reacting to whatever you just dropped directly on its head. The next thing that I'll do is I actually like having the grid pattern on my screen for the simple sake that it allows me to judge how big the fish are. So if I'm looking at a 3 or 4 pod, I want to pick the biggest one. So longer range grids to decide which one's bigger and go after that one big fish in that pack and make that one right cast.
Even with new techniques, it's important to know how to properly set up a live bait rig. Combine that with properly hooking a minnow, and you have the perfect pairing with new techniques like glide baits.
As we transition out of summer into fall, I really like to switch over to these big creek chubs. And we're gonna run them on a 4-foot lead just with an egg sinker. And sometimes if the fish are real picky, we're gonna go up to a 6-foot lead. But how we hook them is we're gonna hook them through both lips, just barely in the lips. We want a lot of hook exposed. And the reason we hook it through both lips is if you just do one, you'll drown them. So we're gonna do 2. And this is a good sized minnow. I'll even use a little bigger minnow, but this is actually a really good sized minnow for most applications.
You got him, Andy?
I got him.
All right.
Feels like a good one.
The 1-2 punch here. Or actually 3. 3 presentations going at one time. But that is typical fall fishing. All right. Even as slow as I am, that fish looks big enough that we'll have time.
Good fish. Oh, big pike.
Yeah.
Oh, big old pike.
Maybe that's what he was.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Here you go. Look how pretty he is.
Yeah, we'll take a pike.
Man, he is awesome looking.
That's a good pike. We'll take a
Yeah.
pike.
Yeah, we will. There's a ton of people who like to eat them better than anything. But we're not eating you today. You're lucky. He has been eaten. Nice fish. They're really pretty in this,
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah, they are. They got the kind of got that golder tint or
Yeah.
dark green.
Yeah, it's a
maybe.
little different than
Right.
a lot of places. I'm going to let you handle him. I'm
Okay.
going to go up to the front.
Look at the belly on him. He's just
Yeah, he's been eating, man.
kind of a go-to bait fall or almost year-round is a jig. It's multi-purpose. I like to say. Now, how I like to hook my minnows is I gotta go in the mouth and I come out the gill. I'm not hooking them in anything. It's just kind of in the mouth, out the gill. I spin them around on the hook. I go in the belly and I come out right dead center. It's important to come out dead center so you don't get line twist. And this way they stay on. If you get some short biters, they stay on, and they're really hardy that way. So that's why I like to hook it. That's a good size minnow right there for this size jig. You want a lot of gap there? Yeah. That's a nice one.
Oh, yeah.
Suspended fish. I threw that 60 feet.
Look at that.
He was
thing.
20 feet down and he was 60 feet from the boat.
Oh, that's cool how some of these fish bite suspended, you know? It is so good.
Yeah.
So cool. Oh. Yeah, you weren't going to lose them either.
We just seen 3 or 4 in a pack there, and that one was 60 feet off the boat.
Yeah.
We flashed them with factory target, and I just hooked it.
Yeah, and there was another one over towards the other side.
Yeah.
And I thought it was probably my jig going to that one when instead you hit yours.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is you got to be pretty accurate on that cast sometimes.
Yep, sure do. What a beautiful fish.
Yeah.
Well, I would say we'll let him go, huh?
Yep.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Schaefer's Specialized Lubricant. Putting equipment first. Nitro Boats. Performance Fishing Boats. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. Lowrance. The ultimate fishing system. And Power Pole. Total boat control. Hot Topic topics, leading information in tackle and techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury.
When it comes to maintaining performance of your boat, let's face it, we all want the fastest boat, and we definitely want it to be faster than our buddies. But there's a few things we can do to really keep an eye on and understand what our engine is doing. And the first thing I like to do coming off the trailer is allowing my boat to get up, or my engine to get up to operating temperature. In the 400 Verado, its operating temperature is 140 to 160 degrees. You want the whole engine to warm up. You want that metal to expand at the same rate. The last thing you want to do is have your pistons warm up a lot faster than your block, which is going to put more wear and tear on the cylinder rings, and which is going to lose compression, which is in return loses horsepower, and in return you lose speed. And so all you simply need to do, especially on the Ranger Ride screen, my operating temperature is at 142. I mean, I just shut this engine off from idling a little while ago. I look at my oil temperature, and so generally oil temperature is going to be over 200, especially if you've ran any wide open periods or longer runs. And so what I like to do, especially if I push my engine hard or made a long run, and even in a tournament, I'll let my engine run for say like 3 to 5 minutes. And what I always watch is oil temperature, because my coolant temperature is going to come down, but my oil temperature is, you know, all throughout the engine, and this is going to take a lot longer to cool down, obviously more capacity as well. And so when that oil temperature gets down to that 180, 190, you know, that's when I generally shut my engine off, because I want that engine to cool down slowly. You know, everything together. The last thing I want to do is basically have, you know, my engine push really hard, really hot, and all of a sudden I shut the engine off and then let everything spike in temperature and then cool down, you know, at different rates. As long as I let my engine run, I'm circulating that cooler water, allowing that engine to cool down like it's supposed to. And so to me, at the end of the day, this is gonna create a lot more performance, a lot longer. And these are the little things that are gonna add up over the course of 5 to 10 years with an engine that is gonna allow you to have a faster boat than your buddies majority of the time.
Using live bait techniques with baits like the Berkeley Finisher is the perfect way to tackle northern Wisconsin walleyes. Add forward-facing sonar to the formula, and you can put your baits in front of fish on every cast.
Well, Andy covered the live bait situations. You know, the big chubs, standard for fall. Jig and a minnow, standard for fall. And you got to have them, because there are days where that basically is going to be the presentation that catches fish. The other two presentations that I really love in the fall, and I never go on the water without, are shiver minnow. It's still a good reaction bait. It's a bait that helps trigger bites. Okay, you're moving it pretty fast. Sometimes natural presentation won't trigger those bites, where the shiver will. Then there's this last bait that I want to show you. It's almost like a hybrid style bait, and the bait itself is very cool. It's shaped like a minnow, okay, but yet it has an action that is a darting action, unlike anything you've really seen before. This bait here is called a finisher. It's a jerk style bait, only you twitch it very small twitches, real small twitches. The difference is it sinks, and you can work this and hover it over the fish really easy. You can work it all the way down to the bottom. This is the small size number 7. And so the bait itself comes in 3 sizes. You've got a size 9, you've got the size 7, and these hooks are extremely sharp. And then you've got the smaller little size 5, which I think is going to be the ticket for ice fishing. So it's definitely something that you want to put in your repertoire. It's something that right now I'm casting, you know, a lot of during this show.
Oh yeah, nice fish.
Is he a good one? Yeah. He looked like it.
Oh yeah.
Fight him slow, because I'm a slow guy.
Oh yes. Look at this rod pound.
He's gonna make me look like a terrible netter.
Thanks, Gary.
Man, is he a good one, Andy?
He's in the net, that's all that matters.
Yep.
That's a good fish right there.
That's an awesome fish. I'm gonna sit down here, Andy, and get him out for you. Come here, buddy. They're so wild too. I mean, a lot of times fall fish start to get a little lethargic.
Right.
Not these boys.
No, they're fighting too.
Yeah. So Old Jig and Minnow did it for this one.
Which one didn't it? Oh, yeah.
You know, that's the cool thing about this technique is you can go through your fall techniques, and you know, Jig and a Minnow, my whole life and your whole life,
Right.
was always the technique for
Right.
fall. But now there's so many different ways you can get them. It depends on if they're suspended or if they're on bottom or all kinds of different things. And it's, you know, look at this fish. It's
Yeah.
absolutely
24,
beautiful.
25?
Yeah, I would guess. It's northern Wisconsin.
Northern
where,
Wisconsin.
You know, which is internationally famous for little sardines.
Right.
And,
Not,
you know,
not
but
necessarily, right?
not necessarily. There's a lot of big fish in these lakes.
Yep.
The only thing is with this technique here, you got to be a little careful so you don't harm the population. So I'm going to let her go and see if we can get another one. It's a wild one. When I'm trying to cast for the fish, okay? Again, new active. Okay. Ready?
Really good. Or actually, they work really good. No, let me start over. Sorry. Presentation, see. So they're gonna, let me start over again. I'm offline. Poor thing, huh?
That's what I would look like if I was a walleye.
What the heck?
See, this is the type of walleye that Andy catches.
Usually they're blind.
Okay, let that baby go.
What do you think?
Before I start catching them like that.
You think musky when he was younger?
I would guess muskie when he was young, or possibly with Cisco's and stuff in this lake, could have got hit by a prop.
Another nice species catching the fall.
Yeah, that's, you know, the thing is it seems like at certain times, especially in September, they're tougher to catch, but they're all kind of in the same area.
Right.
You know, all the different, if we had catfish in this lake, we'd probably be catching catfish right now too. That's just the way
Right.
it is.